So hello and welcome to the new video. After playing my start, I was finally able to start playing the build I wanted to play. Is Forbidden Rite Custom Crit. So here's a very basic TLDR for the people who don't want to watch the full video. Yes, Forbidden Rite is still tanky, still has a great clear speed, great damage, overall a great build. Unfortunately, this version is quite expensive because you need the amulet that you see on the screen. Without that amulet, you're not able to start the build. So be warned about that. Not only that, the build in this league is quite good because we have a lot of cheap items from for energy shield base, since the tree just pretty much gives them you for free, and on the trade you can buy them like relatively cheap. So that's one of the positive things about the Forbidden Rite. And if you're thinking about playing the Forbidden Rite build, this is the perfect league to start this build, as I don't think that the next league you're gonna get as cheaply as possible like that energy shield items. So the only type of the content that I didn't test out yet with this build is the newer one, like the new Uber bosses or like the new Breach Lords. I'm not exactly sure how they are properly called, but that's the type of content that I didn't yet test out on this build. But I'm quite confident with this amount of defense that the build has. Probably even if I'm not aware of some like mechanics of the boss, I'm pretty easy that the build just gonna carry me because of the sheer ridiculous amount of defense that this build has. Right, after this short clip that you can see the new Breach 2.0, I'll go into the explanations of the items, and each items will have each individual timestamp, so just click on each individual timestamp that you are interested to hear the information about the slot. So let's start with the most important item. Is going to be the amulet. Without this amulet you cannot start this build. So look up on the cost, on what's the amulet cost, and that's pretty much the basic item that you need to have to even enter to the build. Not talking about other bits and pieces, but this is like the first top priority that you need to buy. Currently they cost about 8 to 10 divines, give or take. So why this amulet is such an important thing? It's because of the last line, that the skill costs energy shield instead of mana or life. Since I'm using the Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice that actually costs you life, because of this amulet, Forbidden Rite and Cyclone cost me energy shield. That's why this is very important, because otherwise the build won't be functioning. The other stats that you're only interested in on this amulet is the increase energy shield, and you can use a defensive catalyst to increase this by 20%. And the anointment you're going to be using Tranquility shield. We're using Aegis Aurora. This is simply just gives you a lot of defense, tankiness, and block on chance. Pretty much this is a beefy, tanky item. This can be replaced temporarily with some kind of random rare shield, and but just have in mind, don't balance your resistance around some kind of rare shield, because eventually you will have to put Aegis on this slot, and you might just find yourself like struggling with the resistance and so on. So just be aware of that. And the links that I'm keeping over here is Mark on Hit and Assassin Mark, and I have an extra determination over here just in case it gets level 20 and I'm corrupting it. That's useless for you. So moving on to the main weapon that you're gonna be using. Here's how you're gonna craft this weapon. Firstly, you're trying to buy a base of Gutting Knife, since this Gutting Knife has the highest crit chance, base crit chance. And you're looking for a Fractured Crit Multi. Then what you wanna do is slap this with Essence of Woe, I think that's how it's called, for the spell damage. And then you're looking to have open prefix, so you can craft Hits Cannot Be Evaded. Now, in case you get some kind of attack speed on this knife, you can actually take advantage of that attack speed and balance around that as well. But that's gonna be a little bit tricky, and you're gonna have to play around. I actually have a knife. Let me just find my trade like that, like this one. He has attack speed as well. On top of the spell damage, he has open prefix. but I would have to rebalance the build quite a lot, so I'm not ready yet for doing that. The enchantment that you have from the harvest is like, it makes your cyclone a bit larger, and thus, you can proc the forbidden rite with like a nicer range. So I would say, yeah, it's a good enchantment. And then I have Whirlwind Blade, faster attack, and Frostblink. So let's move on with the gloves. The gloves are quite, you can go for like a cheaper one or like a more expensive one. Generally speaking, energy base types items are very cheaply. People are just like pumping them from the league mechanic from the tree. So it's very easy. What you're looking for, and I would like give you a solid advice, make sure that you have at least two suffixes have something useful. Like mine has a lightning resistance and one suffix was open, so I could craft myself like a fire and lightning resistance. Or if I would be missing stats, because I think you can craft dexterity or strength or dexterity something else. So if you have that, you can always fiddle around whatever you're missing. I would advise that. Those gloves are very, very easy to get. There's plenty of them on the market, so depending on how much can you spend, that's how high your energy shield gonna go. And for the implicits, I have like increased damage per 100 intelligence. You can replace that with mark effect. They're pretty much similar in the damage. It's like whatever you can get. Unnerve is something that you want to have, because that's gonna give you nice increased damage. And the slots that I'm using in my gloves is cast when damage taken, summon stone golem, elemental army, and meat shield. It's very important to have the same level cast when damage taken and summon stone golem. Otherwise, the cast when damage taken will not proc summon stone golem. The nifty trick is over here. What's happening with that? Since I have a glancing blow, so even if I block the hit, I still receive some damage, and that damage actually contributes to the golem and the cast when damage taken. So while I'm mapping, I don't even think about my golem. My golem is just there. The golem quite often disappears on the bosses for couple of seconds or sometimes more. Depends how many hits can you block or can you get, and so on. But generally, while you're mapping, the golem is over there, so it's like a nice loop of automating your golem. But if you don't like it, you can always take it out and do whatever you want. Boots are absolute. Stampedes are actually 100% mandatory, because otherwise you won't be moving. What you're looking for the stats on the Stampedes is mainly the increased cooldown recovery rate of travel skills. This adds to your Frostblink, so you can spam it more often. Well, if you're gonna be buying that, I would start between like 75 or a bit more. Depends how much currency do you have. And you're allocating the Force of Darkness, that's a little bit Chaos pen, and that's gonna give you some damage. In the end game, once you complete like most of the items and you try to improve something, one of the things that you can actually improve is try to double corrupt the boots and get +1 maximum endurance charges. This will give you even more tankiness, from the boots. Other corruptions are fine, but the endurance charges, I would say, it's the most important that you can get. And the links that I have in my boots are Tempest Shield, it's unlinked. Then I have Automation, Steel Skin. This gives me a little bit more tankiness, the bleeding immunity, pretty much that's what it is. And I have level 1 precision. Right, you don't need to have the level 1 precision. The only reason I have a precision, because I have a double mod on my Watcher's Eye, when I have a discipline mod and a precision mod. This is the main reason why I'm using precision. If you don't have the Watcher's Eye that requires precision, just drop it down for now, and this will save you up a little bit of mana, and that's gonna be one of the problems that I'm gonna be talking about soon. Right. So the helmet is a mandatory item. You need to have Viridi's Veil. You don't necessarily need the +1 maximum power charges. If you won't have the power charge, probably you're gonna lose about 5% of crit. You might not be fully capped. I'm not sure about that. But for the time being, you can ignore that. Just buy a Viridi's Veil. But the main stat that you need to always buy is +2 Socratic gems. That's very important, because that +2 goes very nicely with the Enlighten. If you cannot buy the Enlightened level 3, I don't know how pricey they are, you can just get yourself a Enlightened level 2. That's good enough. You will be able to sustain all of your auras, but you will be able to only sustain the auras in your helmet. You will have to skip the precision. Even if you have a double watcher side like me, you would have to skip it for now. But once you get your Enlightened level 3 and you get +2 from the helmet, then running all of the auras over here and the precision isn't a problem. And the auras that I'm keeping in my Slack is discipline. Val discipline is the most important. Don't go for the discipline 21, this is useless. Getting extra energy shield will not help you out. Having a Val discipline button just in case something hits you and having like that instant recovery is more important. Then we have Zealotry, this is some damage crit, that's pretty much what it is. Determination, it's like a defensive aura, and pretty much that's it. Now, rings. You need to have one blue ring, and it has to be in this slot on the left side. This will give you that you do not take critical damage, and the damaging is unlucky against you because of the Viridi's Veil and the blue ring. So the blue ring has to be here. That's very important. And what you want to do is you want to get yourself a nameless ring. That's like a base from ritual that reduces the cure's effect. And then you want to craft it. Once you get like a white base, you can buy like a rare whatever, scour it and try to apply the attribute catalyst before you start rolling something, and then just start spamming until you get dexterity T1. Once you get it to dexterity T1, you're looking for an open prefix, then you craft maximum energy shield from the bench, and that's it. The ring is complete. That's a very easy process. Then we have a bit more tricky ring. On this ring, what you're looking for the stats priorities, you need to have strength, intelligence, and you need to have, this is absolutely necessary, an open suffix so you can craft reduced chill effect. And that's your 3 main stats that you're looking for that ring. Now, if you have a little bit more currency, you can get yourself the maximum energy shield in the prefix. Well, if you have a non-influence and a non-fractured ring like me, like mine was before crafting it, you can slam a Crusader orb, and then you have couple lucky chances. You can get like a Crusader spell damage or increase maximum energy shield. So if you get one of them, you have like a good ring. But if you have another prefix open, then you can try to slam a normal Exalted in hopes that something's gonna happen and it's gonna be fine. Unfortunately, in my situation, I didn't get any useful mods, and pretty much the 2 suffixes such as like the mana and the gain of the life hit with spells, that's useless for me. So it is what it is, but that's the ring. That build, you're looking for like as much as possible resistant flat energy shield. I bench crafted myself with increased damage. Then you can apply the catalyst either for the resistance if you're missing, or maybe a little bit more energy shield. Generally, my base of the belt is like a little bit crappy because it's like stun duration, so it doesn't give me anything. So that's something I could improve over here. So body armor. You're trying to get as high as energy shield as you can get, and again you're looking for open suffixes so you can get yourself some resistance, and one open suffix for sure because you want to craft the resistance on stats. I have a stats on this one because I'm missing some strength and dexterity. And then the links that you want to have is Cyclone of Tumult. That's very important that you need to have this specific cyclone. Then you're using Awaken Custom Crit. This is very important. I will go back to this in a second. Then you have Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice. This is very important. This is like a different version of a normal Forbidden Rite. It works a little bit different. Power Charge and Hit, Crit Chance, and Volley. Now, if you buy yourself like a level 1 custom crit, this is not good enough. Your Awaken custom crit has to be on level 3. There's like a nifty trick that you can do. You can go to the crit mastery over here, and there is +3 level of critical support gems. Actually, since custom crit is a crit gem, it will get you those 3 levels, because you need the cooldown from the level 3 to hit that the maximum attack speed. That's why you need this mastery if your awakened custom crit is below level 3. Bandits, either you take Alira for the extra resistance or you take 1 point. This is depends on your build. Do you have the resistance or you don't? You want to overcap a little bit the resistance in case you get some kind of debuff or whatever, right? So I would stick with the Alira if you can. Pantheon, using Brain King mainly for the you cannot be frozen and chill. And you have 50% of reduced chill effect over here, and you have another 51% over here. It goes from 51 to 60. So as long as even if you get the lowest roll, that's fine. You're chill immune. The shock immunity you're getting from the Tempest Shield, and partially the ignite reduction you get from the Aberrat, and you get in the Burning Ground. Since for me this is a mandatory minor passive as I'm running the red altars, and the Burning Ground would be just simply annoying for energy shield based build. So the Flask are quite important on this build, but not as much. Now let's start with the obvious. Dying Sun is just like a fat, big increased damage. Do you need it? Yeah, in the end game, not early on. Early on I would skip it. Then you're looking for Sapphire Flask, and all of those flasks gonna have the same mod. You can gain 3 charges, corrupting blood and bleed immunity over here. While I'm mapping, I'm sustaining permanently this flask, so I never have to deal with that. Even on the bosses I can sustain it because of my watcher size precision mode. Then I have gain charges when you hit, armor on the granite flask, more armor pretty much. Topaz flask, gain charges, extra resistance, and extra life regen. And this is the flexible part. Since I have the precision mode on my diamond flask, I can have the gain charges and reduce cures effect. If you don't have the precision mode on your watcher side, you would have to replace this flask while still keeping the diamond one. I should have it. Yes, something like that. You just want to have chance to gain flask charge when you deal critical chance on your flask. You only want to have this mode on the diamond flask, since you're not gonna have the, let's just say, the precision mode. I would really appreciate if you can like and subscribe the video. This would really help me out growing the channel. Now, instead of just going all around the passive tree, I'm just gonna give you some tips and tricks, because you can just refer to POB on the passive tree, what you can save up if you're leveling, what's flexibility on the tree. So firstly, you can respect the endurance charges, so you can gain one less point over here. You can respect them 2 points, because that's the enduring composure that's the thing that generates you the endurance charges. You can respect the withers over here, so that's 3 points over here. Then you can respect 1 point over here for the zealot oath, and temporarily if you want. What else you can do? If you're missing some stats and resistance still, you can go temporarily over here. Those 2 points will give you stats and resistance. That's like a nice note. I was temporarily using them over here. Now, if you cannot afford the watcher side, at least with the discipline mod, I don't know how expensive they are, you can temporarily just rely on the leech from this node over here and from the instant leech. Obviously, this is not something that you, in the end game, that you want to skip the watcher side with the discipline mod. This is a temporary solution for your problem for not having the watcher side. But generally, combination this and watcher side keeps you very nicely alive. What else can we save up over here? Now, when it comes to cluster jewels, you want to make sure, like on the mediums and like on the small ones, I have like stats, like resistance, or I have some strength over here. I have strength and dexterity. That's quite important. While you're gonna be either buying or creating yourself like over here the reservation one, I have the Termination, right? The reduce mana reservation efficacy. There's like 3 combination that you can have: the Discipline, you can have the Termination, or you have Zealotry. Both will get you to, like, you know, to make sure that you can have those 3 big auras in your helmet. So whatever you can get with some stats, that's the best option that you can get. And then again, you're looking for, like, you know, some whatever stats you can get, like, you know, resistance. In more stats you can get on those cluster jewels, the less your gear will be demanding, and much easier will be to swap around your gear. So that's quite important to have in mind when you're buying one, or you maybe like crafting one. Ascendancy wise, there's no point of me talking about. You need all of them, and that's it. Pretty much that's an endgame build, so you should have all of the points. One thing that I want to mention, when you have a Thread of Hope, large one, I have one note over here, because you might actually miss that, and that gives me some stats and spell critical chance as well. So let's just say you completed all of the items, you even have items a little bit better than me, or you have the similar, and you're thinking, okay, what else I can upgrade? Unfortunately, at this point where I am, I can do very small and minimal upgrades to the build that's going to be, you know, costing me a lot of currency, and I would say they are pointless. Unfortunately, at this point, I would have to go into a Mageblood version of the build and change a lot of gear, and that's like a very expensive transition between this build and a Mageblood. Something that I will not be doing, and, you know, if you at that point, I'm really sorry. Either you have to do it yourself or find someone else who plays a Mageblood version of the Forbidden Rite. But if you got this far, I will say thank you for watching, and I will see you later in my next video.